All right, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast today. I'm Tommy Waller, and I have several of my friends here. Maybe we got an echo in here somewhere. Guys got their. Is it cleared up now? Are we good?
I'm good.
All right, good. I have actually a special guest here. Nate Anderson was part of our board at HarBracha, good friend. Nate. Chaim Margolis is with us, the city manager of HarBracha, the boss, the man that gets it done in the city of HarBracha. The city, notice I said city. And,
you got it.
In the city of HarBracha. And Yonatan Behar, an old war buddy, my old war buddy,
right,
back in the day. And we are here today to discuss what is happening in HarBracha, what is happening in Judea and Samaria, what's happening on the political front. Tomorrow is a big day, and I wanted to gather these guys together to discuss some important issues and why we should be either happy or concerned about what's happening. Yonatan, you want to kind of start us out? Why should we be concerned, and how should we be happy about what might be happening tomorrow? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'll tell you, to be honest, I don't think anybody knows, not even Prime Minister Netanyahu himself. I don't think really the decision has been made yet. What we hear in the media is that there will be maybe out of the 30% that is in the deal of the century of President Trump, will be maybe 10% or 15% at the most. That probably means maybe Gush Etzion or Ma'ale Adubim on the one hand. If not those two big blocks, then maybe communities like HarBracha and Gavahar, where we live, in Itamar and Yitzhar. But it's really not
where is that in relation to like Jerusalem? Most people would know where Jerusalem is. Where are you located?
Okay. Have a map here.
Oh,
Can you see it? Should I take it down and bring it a little closer?
Perfect.
There you go. That's perfect.
Okay. Here we are. Here's Jerusalem, right here. Okay, and we're here. We're in HarBracha. No, that's Ramallah. Sorry, it's a little bit more north.
Right.
Okay, we're about 60 miles north of Jerusalem. Maybe about a 50-minute drive, and we're in the area that's sitting like a bone in the throat of preventing a Palestinian PLO, Hamas, ISIS terrorist state that, God forbid, everybody knows that that's what would happen, God forbid, if we were to accept the deal as is, because that's part of the deal, that we have to establish a Palestinian state. And obviously we are totally against that. We are in favor, and we're very happy, even if it's only 10%. We would prefer, obviously, all of it. But if not, even 10% of sovereignty over certain parts of the land of Israel is very important. And we're trying our best to put as much pressure on the Prime Minister and the members of the Likud party to make sure that happens.
So what do you think tomorrow? What is your guess as to what's going to happen tomorrow?
I don't think anything is going to happen. But again, that's just a wild guess, because it could be that Prime Minister Netanyahu will try and pull something off very quickly. I really don't know. It's really also depends on the Americans. From what I understand, Jared Kushner is pressing for Kahol Lavan, Gantz's party, which is part of the coalition with the Likud, to also agree to any type of sovereignty, and he's calling for regional cooperation with Jordan and Egypt and who knows what. So he's really trying to put, what do they say, spokes in the wheel. But I think Bibi, this is, in my humble opinion, this whole plan, the deal of the century, is really not President Trump's deal. It's Benjamin Netanyahu's deal. He's the one who came up with this entire, deal of getting 30% of Judea and Samaria sovereignty and 70% as a Palestinian state, a future Palestinian state.
So, Chaim, what is happening right now? I mean, is it, from what I understand from our last conversation, that there was a possibility, or it was already, some of this stuff is already in effect, the building freeze? How is that affecting you guys as far as building on the Mount of Blessing and building where, in this place where God spoke to Abraham? What's going on with you guys?
So first of all, I want to say that hello to everyone, and let everyone know that Jonathan is very optimistic tonight. By us, it's night already. I just got out of a meeting, actually 2 meetings with a lot of people from the regional council of Samaria, and there's no good news. There's really no good news. We don't know too much. Right now, it seems like, as Jonathan said, nothing is going to happen tomorrow. But the Arabs nearby here already have an excuse to start rioting and to start terror attacks against us. And we know that every time around the peace process, the peace breaks out with a lot of terror. And we're the first ones to feel it, on the roads, on the way to our community, to our city, as you said, and we already started feeling the riots around here. Just recently, the Arabs have lit our mountain at least a dozen times in the last month, and therefore, right now we know nothing. It seems like there's a lot of negative American pressure against the plan. And they're using the ticket of, as Jonathan said, of Benny Gantz, the Minister of Defense right now, that only has less than 2-digit mandates out of 120. He has less than 10% that are backing him today in the polls, but he still is critical. Is pretty critical, and a good excuse for Bibi not to use the sovereignty ticket that he actually won the last 3 elections using that ticket, saying he's gonna put sovereignty over all the Jewish communities. And now we're back again to hearing there won't be sovereignty. We'll push it off again. We've pushed it off already. The Americans said that they'll only allow sovereignty after the elections. So now we're after the elections. We have over 60% of over 60 mandates, over 50% of the Knesset in Israel are for sovereignty. But Bibi is still worried because Kushner, as Jonathan said, is backing out, and we really appreciate President Donald Trump and all the good he's done for us till now. But this is really critical time. You can't play with sovereignty. You can't push it off again and again. And as you said about the freeze, there's a freeze on the Mountain of Blessing. There's a freeze in HarBracha. The last 6 months, we haven't been able to push ahead zoning. And we've been holding on, hoping, the sovereignty will come along and we'll be able to continue zoning. But just this week, there was supposed to be another meeting about the zoning, and it was all pushed off because of the sovereignty. And now the sovereignty is being pushed off. So guess what will happen with the zoning? So that means it will also be pushed off. That means we're continuing on with the freeze. So if we had a 10-month freeze with Obama, now we're already up to a 6-month freeze with the Donald Trump administration, which is a good administration, and we can't continue suffering. We can't freeze the Holy Land and Judea and Samaria, the areas that were given to the Jewish people in the name of by God, and we've been here for 2,000 years. So right now, I'm pretty depressed. I'm upset. and I'm not happy about what's going on, and I'm very worried about tomorrow, because even if hopefully, thank God, Be'ezrat Hashem, there'll be some good news and Bibi will come out, as they've been talking about today in the news about sovereignty. He's been talking about it for a year and a half, and it might take another year and a half. And at the end of that year and a half, there might be sovereignty for one city or two cities, which anyways wouldn't be evacuated, which means we're back to Oslo. We're back to being an enclave. We're going to be stuck. We're going to be on our own. We're going to be cut off from the communities nearby. And I'm worried. I'm really worried about what's waiting for us. But God plans it all out for us. So I really hope stuff will work out, as there's a saying in Hebrew, "Hakol letova," that'll work out for good. And we believe in God, and we believe in the hand of God that works stuff out. But right now, tonight, I'm worried.
Nate, what is your feeling about the political scene over here right now? Do you think this is going to be what is the Israel thing and all of this stuff? What's your feeling politically right now in America? It seems to be, wow. I mean, I've never seen it like this before.
It's
pretty rough. Go ahead.
It's very confusing to just a normal guy like me over here in America. We don't get a lot of good information. So talks like this are very important. I'd like to hear more about what we can do specifically about helping. I don't know how in the world I can help free up zoning meetings and things like that. Talk to me about the terror. We hear a lot of stuff about terror, shootings at or attacks at border crossings or rock throwings, or I'm just curious, has this peace process particularly had any change or caused any changes to that?
Unfortunately, not. The Arabs, really, a lot of their goal is to get us out of here, to, like Arafat said, throw us into the sea, and they're willing to pick up arms, and they have, and they still are, and that's one of the reasons we can't understand why Prime Minister Netanyahu would even possibly consider the creation of a Palestinian state. Obviously, he thinks that there'll be enough security set up that we can defend ourselves, but we all know that eventually it will turn into a terrorist state, and it'll be right on top of the Gush Dan area, which is the Tel Aviv area where millions of people live. It's a very narrow, here, show you the very, very narrow. Here, this area right here is between the Palestinian state, the terrorist state, and Israel, Netanyahu and Tel Aviv. So it's like a 9-mile drive between them, and they could very easily just lob in whatever they want, God forbid, and it would basically cut the entire state into two, and it would really put the entire state of Israel in a very, very extremely dangerous situation.
Tell us where you got that map there. Don't put that away so quickly. Tell us where did you get that map? And
here it says it's the Vision for Peace conceptual map, a future state of Palestine. This actually comes from the deal of the century of President Trump. Again, like I said, I think it's more the deal of the century of Prime Minister Netanyahu, and it's really it's a very, very bad situation. If God forbid, but from what I understand now, they're not going to accept. They're not going to even mention a Palestinian state, right? But that could just be a bluff to quiet us down and everything, to think that things are going to go, but de facto, the fact that we have accepted even part of the deal of the century, the entire world is going to think that automatically that becomes the Palestinian state. And, we're going to be in a very, very difficult situation. One of the worst things is, like Chaim said, about the freeze of building. We're commanded by God. One of the most important commandments is building and settling the land of Israel. to the point where our sages said that if you were to take all of the 613 commandments in the Torah and put them on one side of a scale, and you took one commandment and put it on the other side, the scales would be even. And that one commandment is the settling of the land of Israel. So it's that important that it's equal to all the other commandments. So we cannot ever agree to any type of a freeze on building anywhere in the land of Israel. We have to continue building. We're expecting millions of Jews to come home, especially now with this coronavirus and the situation in America. It's very scary for Jews there. And I would like to take this opportunity to speak to my Jewish brethren out who are watching or who eventually will see this, and to call on them to make aliyah, to immigrate to Israel. And, that's really the solution to all of what we're talking about. Because if there were another million Jews living here in Judea and Samaria, there would be no question of a Palestinian state. We would just outnumber them, and there would be cities here, and there would be buses and trains, and it would be a normal situation here. Unfortunately, we don't have enough people here. So, please, everybody who's hearing us, just, consider packing up your bags, getting on the first flight possible.
Yeah.
I don't know when they're going to open up the flights, but Israel is your home, and Israel is the greatest country in the world, and God willing, our economy is going to flourish and come home.
Yeah, and I would add to that if we had, Nate, I think if we had 1 million or plus Christians to come in and stand in Judea and Samaria, that the world attention would also say would take a different turn. And so we also I'm not scaring you guys. I'm not coming to live there. Just saying, if we had non-Jews that believed in God to come to Judea and Samaria and stand with the Jewish people, we wouldn't be going through this situation right now.
Just like you do, just like how Yovel, your organization, your tremendous organization, for 15 some odd years now has been bringing thousands of Christians and evangelicals and from all over the world to volunteer in the vineyards to pick the grapes. And it's just a tremendous, tremendous thing. And, the prophets prophesied and said that all of the nations will come to serve the God of Israel in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. And we're praying and doing our best to make sure that comes to fruition in our days.
Yeah, for the whole world.
For the entire world. The house of the Lord is the house for all of nations. Everybody will come and pray to the God of Israel, and there will be peace. Actually, our sages told us that world peace, true world peace, is dependent on the Holy Temple. When the third Holy Temple will be built on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, there will be peace throughout the entire world. So here we have the solution.
We have a peace plan. We already have a peace plan. That's important. That's important. So what, Chaim? So what is the feeling of the? Yeah, I know you expressed your feeling, but what are you feeling from the rest of the community? I mean, what are their? Is it just kind of another day at the that you just don't know what kind of attitude after all these years? 53 years now since 1967, and we're still fighting over this, this war, or fighting this war that we're supposed to have won in 6 days, right? There was a miracle that at least the people that I know in the Christian community say that was a miracle. The 6-day war was an absolute miracle. They say they can't study these wars because there's no way you can see, you can study a miracle to see how to win another war. There's no war like that. Only God's hand was in it. All Christianity, every Christian that I've ever spoke to believes it was a miracle. But yet, we're still fighting for the land. God absolutely handed it over. He gifted, almost gave it to Israel as a gift, Judea and Samaria. And it seems like to me that we should just accept the gift that God gave, and even the world would need to stand behind it. And I think the first of all, and I would just say to our Christian friends that are listening, that it begins, I believe, with us. We have to begin to recognize the miracle of God and stop sitting and just watching CNN or watching Fox News, but get engaged in the battle, calling our congressmen, our senators, our writing letters, just leaving a message on a voice recorder in your congressman's office, in your senator's office. They will take your call, and they'll also take your visit. I mean, I'm not sure how it's going right now in the Corona deal, but they normally will take
WhatsApp.
Yeah, send them they have all kinds of ways to express. We need to get this thing rolling. We need to give people attention. Social media,
And
this
Twitter,
podcast right here, we need to get it out. There needs to
Twitter.
be
President Trump uses Twitter all the time, right? He's got so people. I'm calling on all of our friends, everybody who loves Israel, everybody who loves the Jewish nation, to send President Trump a Twitter message telling him that he should encourage the Prime Minister of Israel to declare sovereignty over all of Judea and Samaria. Send it to him. Send it to Kushner. Send it to Ambassador Friedman. Send it to everybody. Your senator, your congressman, your governor, your everybody that you could possibly think of who has any influence whatsoever. I think it's extremely important that we, like Tommy, like you said, and Nate, that was your question. You know, what can we do now? This is one of the true things that can be done right now at this very moment. And don't push it off until tomorrow, because tomorrow might be too late. So you got to get up now and do it now. You can very easily find all these Twitter. You know, on Twitter, you go into Twitter, and on the side it says, you know, with a question, you know, who you're looking for. You just put in Donald Trump. You just put in all these names, and you'll get straight to their Twitter, you know, accounts, and send them a message. And if they're bombarded by thousands, millions of messages, God willing, they'll get the message.
Yep.
Nate, how does that work? You're an IT guy. You're a tech. How does that work? Our engagement like that?
Well, it's amazing. I mean, we can literally change minds with technology. It's happening before our eyes. Anybody who's watching what's happening in America right now, people going crazy, getting upset. Sometimes it's the wrong message, but the technology will definitely work in our favor if we use it to tell the truth and communicate with one another. So it's become such a small community. You can send a tweet to President Trump, and his team will see it. So let's do it. I think that's a great idea. I'd also encourage if you're in talking to my Christian friends and Christians here in America, if you have an opportunity to talk to other Christians, to pastors, and just it's a soft answer maybe, or a soft question that's required. But what I'm hearing in my Christian ears when my friends in Israel talk about how important that one commandment is to rebuild the land, it completely lines up with what some Christians call the gospel. And so it's amazing to see God's work at hand in Israel. And so I would just encourage soft. I mean, we don't need to get on there and go crazy on social media, but we can definitely give a truthful witness to what's happening. Let's encourage our friends in Israel.
Yeah, amen. It's time. It's time to do that. We say we should start maybe a campaign Chaim, that says Jewish lives matter. We should this should be serious, because in 1930s we really didn't care, did we? The nations really didn't care about Jewish lives, and we saw 6 million people, 6 million innocent Jewish people murdered, horribly murdered, and basically these, they were the Germans were hiding it. They were hiding what they were doing. There was a little bit of maybe shame in what they were doing. The Arabs, from what I understand, they're not hiding their intentions for Israel. What do the Arabs say? What do you hear the Arabs saying about you and what they're going to do publicly?
Not only for Israel, as you know, the Iranians just put out a notice also in the UN against Donald Trump, against the president. So the Muslims and the Arabs in the whole world are especially against the Jews, but also against the Americans and against the Europeans who don't know that yet. But it's taking them a little longer to figure it out. But we feel it every day, and the map that Jonathan showed you earlier, we talked about a little in our first show. But yeah, that exact map. If Jonathan, can you move the paper a little up? I want to see the numbers. Move it up.
Up or down?
Up. Yeah, a little more, a little more. Does our name here? No, our name's not on that map. But there are 19 enclaves, and we're enclave number 5, Mount HarBracha, the holy mountain, and that's it's very clear. The American administration that planned out this map that Jonathan is showing you, and you all of course saw it, including on President Donald Trump's Twitter, and just like we all saw it, and puts us in a closed off community with no routes, no roads, and it even cuts us off from the communities nearby. The closest communities of Itamar and Elon Moreh are cut off from us because they're connected to the Jordan Valley by this new map and new plan. It means that we won't even be able to go shopping or go buy products across the street, literally across the street, because the only connection for those communities will be through the Jordan Valley. And we won't be able, today it takes us about an hour and a quarter to get to Jerusalem, the holy city. With this new plan.
Driving.
What? Driving.
Depending on who's driving.
If you drive, it's even quicker, right? But with the new map and so-called the peace plan, we're going to be cut off from Jerusalem, from Judea. We're going to need to go all around, and what's going to automatically happen in all the communities, and I heard it also tonight from different people, is people are already started. There's not only a freeze on zoning, but people stopped buying houses, and people stopped, they're big families and they need to add a room to their house. They said, why should we spend now tens of thousands of dollars? And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Tomorrow's the 1st of July. And no one knows what's going to happen. And the plan might cut us off, and our property will be worth half the price. Or we might even need to leave because we work somewhere else, and it'll take us 3 times the amount of time to get there. And therefore, all the communities and all the people here are really having a hard time. This isn't an easy time for us. And as Jonathan said, and as Nate said, and you too, Tommy, we need your guys. We need everyone who's watching. We need your help. Just send a WhatsApp message. Just post on Facebook and tweet on Twitter, and tag the different advisors and President Donald Trump, which has been the best president for the country of Israel, and let them know what you guys expect from them to do, because right now we're not moving ahead because of the American pressure. There's no other reason. Bibi promised it. Benjamin Netanyahu promised it, and in the last 3 elections, and that's why he got so many people to vote for him, for the sovereignty. And now's the time. Now it's 9:30 at night. It means that there are 2.5 hours till the 1st of July, and that's when that was the last date that was called for sovereignty. That there'll be sovereignty, and if we get a mishmash of ridiculous sovereignty of one community or one city that's already has tens of thousands of people living there, that will be a ridiculous sovereignty. and not only it'll be a ridiculous sovereignty, but it'll also put us in an enclave. It means they'll take the good stuff, but the bad stuff will also come along with it. And no one knows what's going to happen in 4 months during the elections and who's going to win. Right now, it looks bad. I mean, you guys could tell us what you're seeing there in the U.S., but what we see here in Israel, in the Holy Land, it looks really bad. I mean, there's even talk about it made it to Israel about Trump dropping out because of the low polls that he's been getting. And we're really worried because we really appreciate all he's done, and we really want him to continue on. But now's time. He needs to run ahead with it now, because Biden might be in the office in 4 months. And when Biden will be there, we'll be evacuated. There's no question about it. There'll be no games. I mean, there'll be nothing to do. We'll say Iran or the holy mountain of Har Gerizim. And then the prime minister and even 100 members of Knesset won't be able to do anything. It's too bad, because we really expect them to do anything they need to do on their own. But right now, with American pressure, they're not able to move ahead, and we need your guys' help to push your congressmen and talk to the different advisors and send them messages and post on Twitter. Tweet on Twitter and post on Facebook. Go ahead with it. Now's time. 2.5 hours left. It's not going to happen probably tomorrow morning. But
I want to say one thing. In this area where the Palestinian state, the future Palestinian state, is meant to be, this is where our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, lived, walked, prayed. This is where all the holy sites are. This is where the tomb of Joseph is, right by HarBracha, right by Mount Gerizim, where we live. And then there's the tomb of Rachel, our foremother, down here in the Bethlehem area, and the cave of the patriarchs in Hebron. These are the biblical sites that, God forbid, we will not be in our control, and we will not be able to go there and pray, and you guys won't be able to go there and visit. It's just a terrible, terrible thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was going to ask you what, you both came from the U.S. You had your roots in the United States in the beginning, but you could have just come to Israel, and you could have went to Tel Aviv, or maybe you would have bought a farm up in the Golan Heights, or you could have rode horses up there or something. You could have bought something in the desert and experienced it. But why would you choose to go to a place right next to one of the most fierce haters of the Jewish people in the world, in what they call Nablus today, which is biblical Shechem or Shechem, however you say it in Hebrew? But why would you do that? I mean, I think it would be interesting to, because a lot of people in America, we sell our homes because we're not satisfied with the garbage pickup. We sell our homes because we don't like the teachers at our elementary school. We sell our homes because, well, some people are probably maybe selling their homes now because they don't have a police department. But why? You're moving into trouble. It doesn't seem like to me you're moving out of trouble. You're moving like to a bad neighborhood. Why would you want to live in this bad neighborhood when you could live in other places?
I can just say, when I first came here some 33 years ago, we were the 13th family here in HarBracha, and there was absolutely nothing. And at that time, this was before we had peace. This is before the Oslo peace agreements. We actually used to drive through Nablus, what the world calls Nablus, what we call Shechem. Our bus used to go through Nablus. People used to go and buy fruits and vegetables in Nablus, in Shechem. And I used to be able to go at midnight down to the tomb of Joseph by myself in my car without any plastic windows or any protection whatsoever, without a gun even, and pray at the tomb of Joseph.
So you're saying you have a family, there's a family cemetery right in the middle of the city there. It's like we have family cemeteries here where I'm from in Tennessee and Missouri, and we call that home.
Right.
You're saying you have a family cemetery.
This is not only
that you can't go to.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. It's even more than that. It's our ancestors. It's the pillars of the world. You know, Joseph was the righteous Joseph, the tzaddik. He was the second in charge in Egypt. He's the one who saved the economic situation of the entire Middle East at that time. You know, these are tremendous, tremendous figures in Judaism, and we can't even go to the grave and pray there. We can't go visit it. Today, if I wanted to go, I'm not sure I would come out alive.
Yeah.
In pieces, you would come out in pieces, Jonathan.
In pieces, right.
Right.
Not in peace, but peace.
Right.
Yeah.
But my point is that in the beginning, you know, things were, it was difficult. It was difficult getting families up here until we actually got our Rabbi Melamed, who I can go on forever speaking about, but he's the one who our spiritual and any educational leader, are just everything. When he came here, he attracted so many young families and young students. And like I said, we were the 13th family. And once he came up here and opened up his yeshiva, his Torah Academy, where boys come from all over the country to study, we've grown to, what do we know, over 450 families?
400, yeah, over
450 families. It's in my eyes, it's a revealed miracle. It's a revealed miracle because when we first got here, there was absolutely nothing here, and today we have schools. We have
two high schools.
What?
Two high schools.
Two high schools. You know, we have all of the facilities here. We're working our best to turn HarBracha into a city and to expand and to build. Now, if there's a freeze, like Chaim said, they're not letting us build over a certain area. So Rabbi Melamed has encouraged people to start building up. In other words, we're building, Chaim can tell you better, but we're building 5, 6, 7-story buildings. People are putting a second story on their private homes. And we're doing our best within the situation we're in to continue settling the land, because that's what we have to do. That's our commandment.
Yeah, that's good. Chaim, do you have something?
Yeah, I just want to let everyone know that, as Jonathan said, we're over 450 families living here in HarBracha, about 3,000 people already. And over 10% of the people living in all the enclaves live here on the holy mountain of HarBracha, that the Trump administration decided to leave as an enclave. And there are over 100 kids born in our community every year. We have the biggest daycare in the region. We have 11 ganim. Kindergartens. Yeah, thank you. We have 11 kindergartens in our community, and we're building another 4. We're building a sports and youth center. We're, thank God, growing. But as I said, this plan could stop it all. And in the communities nearby, people already are starting to talk about they're stopping to build. They're waiting to buy the new houses that are being sold because they're worried. Here, thank God, people don't really feel it yet because, as I said, we're big and we're moving ahead. We're finishing building 2 new buildings with 40 apartments in, hopefully by September. So 40 new families will be able to join our community. We're actually missing apartments. There are at least 6 families that big families that want to move here, and we don't have big enough apartments for them. So we're trying to figure out how to work that out. We might need to kick you guys out, Tommy. No, I'm joking. But
we know about big families for sure.
Yeah. So we're looking and breaking our head how to figure out how to allow more people to join us. Thank God. But with this plan and with the freeze going on, it's gonna stop our building and stop our planning, and for the next couple of years. So, or at least 4 years.
I would just like to emphasize, Chaim, what we're talking about when, it's called an enclave, but that's really just a very, very nice term for a ghetto, because basically we are going to be encircled by a Palestinian state on all 4 sides. And like Chaim said before, it's going to be extreme. We're going to have to be, we're going to have soldiers, and to get out, we're going to have military escorts to leave the community. It's very similar to what happened in Gush Katif in the Gaza Strip before Ariel Sharon decided that he was going to expel the 22 communities there. There was a community of Netzarim, which was also put into a situation of becoming a ghetto, and the Arabs constantly bombarded them, shot at their buses and their cars, and killed innocent Jews. And God forbid, that's the same situation that we're going to be in if, God forbid, if this Palestinian state was ever to come about. So, it's extremely important, I think, right now at this moment, like Chaim said, that all of the people who are seeing this now, just do whatever you pick up the phone, get to your keyboard, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, speak to your family, speak to your friends, speak to your clergymen, your pastors, and whoever you think that could have any influence whatsoever on the situation here. And we really appreciate the support and prayers, obviously. And that's the situation here in Israel. But you got to know that we're continuing. Nothing is going to stop us. We're continuing to build, to have children, to teach them the way of God, the Torah, and the commandments. And we're growing. We're growing. But like Chaim said, we have to be able to continue to build. There shouldn't be a freeze. That's one of the most important things I think you can get across to President Trump, is that it's impossible. It's impossible. How can we possibly go against the will of God? He commanded us to build and settle the land. That's what we have to do. We don't have a choice.
Yeah, you have to. And you know what? We have to support you. We as the nations have to support you, because I want to go out on a limb here, but because I believe that the suffering that we're seeing in our country and the suffering we're seeing all across the world is because we have not been supporting the very promises that God gave. It was you guys, and that would tell me, Tommy, you believe, in the God spoke the creation, into being, but what about him speaking the same breathed word that created the universe, said, "This is the land I'm going to give your descendants."
Well, that link you sent me today of Michelle
Bachman,
Bachman, it was tremendous, and I put it all over my Facebook and sent it to Prime Minister and to Kushner and everybody, Ambassador Friedman. It's tremendous. So maybe if we can put it. Nate, if you can put it maybe somewhere on the bottom, that link, everybody should hear it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
She really speaks the truth there. And she says, and like I said this before also, I don't think it's a coincidence that on the 28th of January, if I'm not mistaken, when Prime Minister Netanyahu was called to go to the White House and they presented the deal of the century, the next day, the World Health Organization declared the coronavirus an epidemic, a worldwide epidemic. I don't think that's by coincidence.
No.
And,
People,
listen, I grew up in America. I love America. And I only want the best for America. And we're praying that President Trump gets in again and continues to support, the state of Israel and the land of Israel. And to me, it's very, very, the connection is very, very clear. And I think, the situation is getting out of hand there with all the protesting and rioting and tearing down statues and defunding the police and all along with the coronavirus and the economic situation terrible economic situation that the entire world is in. This can't be by chance, right? There has to be the hand of God here, and he's telling us something. And in my humble opinion, he's saying, listen, you can't play around with the land of Israel. God promised us the land of Israel to the Jewish nation, to our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and their descendants. And you just can't take a chunk of that and say, this is a Palestinian state. It just doesn't work.
I think it seems like to me that the world, they think when we're talking in these, in actually spiritual terms and in religious, jargon, we're talking about these things as if God is speaking. And I think that I would maybe ask those that are listening and those who will be listening to this, that have they ever seen anything like this before? Anything like this in the history, in our lifetimes, in our parents' lifetime, in our grandparents' lifetime? Is there anything like this that we have ever experienced? And to say that somehow God is not speaking in this, there's a problem here. We're deaf to God screaming at us when it seems obvious that it is, only our faith in the God of Israel, our faith in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of all the prophets, the God that the Christian community actually says that we believe in this God. Mm-hmm. He's speaking right now. We need to respond in an appropriate way.
We have to bring God back into the equation. It can't just be politicians and politics and small things like that. It's something much, much bigger than that. I think that we just have to open our eyes and see what the situation is, and choose good. But basically, because everybody, God gave everybody freedom of choice, and it really comes down to: are you on the good side or are you on the bad side? Do you make a good decision or do you make a bad decision? To be a supporter of Israel, to support the land of Israel and the state of Israel, you're on the good side. To support a Palestinian state and the Palestinians who want to destroy us and kill us, you're on the bad side. That's your own personal choice. And people like you, Tommy, and Nate, you guys have chosen the good side. And, you got to get the word out that we're the good guys. We're the good guys. We're always portrayed in the media as being the crazy settlers. And I got to tell you one thing I think is very important. We, as religious Jews, as Orthodox observant Jews, we go according to the Torah. Now, in the Torah, it's written that the Ger Toshav, an alien resident, can be in the land of Israel as long as he accepts upon himself that sovereignty over the entire land of Israel belongs to Israel, the God of Israel, and the 7 Noahide commandments, which just basically means be a normal person, set up a court system, don't kill anybody, don't steal, but no adultery, and so forth. They can live and enjoy the blessings that God is giving us here in the land of Israel.
Well, what you're saying is that you're not trying to speak against the Palestinians if they want to be good citizens of Israel.
Exactly. In my humble opinion, that's the model for the entire world. This whole problem of immigrants and immigration in the entire world can be solved by the model of the Ger Toshav, that you live in a certain country, you live in a nation, you have to go according to the rules, you have to serve in the army, you have to pay your taxes, and if the country goes to war against an enemy, you have to go to war also.
Right.
And there are Arabs, I must admit, there are good Arabs here in the land of Israel who don't want a Palestinian state, who don't want Abbas and all of the PLO leaders and Hamas, because they realize that under their control, they've stolen so much money from the entire world. All the money that they get goes into Abbas's pocket. He's built a gigantic palace for himself when he retires. And they just steal all the money instead of building hospitals, instead of building schools and medical, and all of the money goes into their pockets. And the poor Arab, Palestinian who just wants to have a nice life and have a job and do his daily whatever, they realize, a lot of them have been on television and actually said, we would prefer the Israelis to remain here. We want to be under the state of Israel.
Yeah. Chaim, I want to ask you a question. I asked Yonatan that I heard rumor that the only reason why you're in HarBracha is because of the rabbi's daughter. Is there truth to that, or is it because you have really more spiritual reasons to be in HarBracha?
You have to explain to me that Chaim is married.
Is that true? Is it that just the truth? Why are you come to HarBracha? What's the deal?
That's a good question. No, I've been in HarBracha for over 10 years. Thank God. I got married only 5 years ago, so you can't say what you said. But as Yonatan said, we're settling the Holy Land, and this is the front line of Jewish settlement. We're 100 meters over Nablus, over Shechem, over the holy city of Shechem, over Joseph's tomb, 100 meters away from the city. And one of the biggest terror cities is Nablus, is Shechem. And you could understand how much terror and terror attacks, and even these days, I mean, it's unbelievable. Thank God, God is taking care of the Jewish people and the people who help the Jewish nation, and even we guys don't really hear about the amount of terror attacks that were stopped a minute before, or a week before, or 10 seconds before, but they're going on all the time. It's really amazing. It's really a miracle that we're able to live here, and that's why I'm here. I'm on the front line of Jewish settlement. I'm proud to be here. As Yonatan said, that's the biggest mitzvah that we could keep, is to settle the land of Israel.
And Chaim, you actually learned in the yeshiva before you even met your wife, the rabbi's daughter.
That's true. So, but I didn't want to ruin your fairy tale. So
yeah, we did. I knew you had an agenda. That's what I was going to bring up. Yeah,
I want to say one other thing. And the situation is really complex. It's really tricky. As I said, right now, the story doesn't look good, and the maps are terrible. By the way, there are about 40 different maps. So as Yonatan said at the beginning, that he's not even sure if Bibi knows what he's going to do. Nobody knows what they're going to do. And all we know is that there's a lot of pressure from Kushner and from the Trump administration not to run ahead with all the sovereignty. And we still expect from Bibi to stand behind his word, but unfortunately we need the Trump administration to help him out and push him ahead, to go ahead with all the sovereignty. And Begin applied the sovereignty on the Golan Heights, in one day. One day he passed the law. One day he passed the law. Bibi's been talking about it for a year and a half already.
And
So
nothing's been done.
And nothing's been done. There's no law that's ready. There's nothing that was okay. My point is, if you guys and the evangelical people that are watching us right now really pick up the phone or send a message to the different politicians they're in touch with, it could be done in one day. It's really unbelievable, and we really don't have a lot of time because Trump might, God forbid, lose the next lose to Biden, and that'll be the end of sovereignty. That will be the total end. And the Arabs, the Palestinians, aren't waiting. They're taking over all of Area C. They're creeping up to us. As I said, we're only 100 meters away from the city of Shechem, and the city of Shechem is getting closer and closer. Every day there's new building. They're taking over more land. They're planting more trees in Area C. So if there'll be sovereignty, and it's doable in one day, if the Trump administration and with your guys' help to push it ahead, it could be done in one day and change the whole world, change the Holy Land of Israel, change Judea and Samaria, and allow us to grow and turn into a city of 25,000 people, and hopefully, with God's help, even way more. But otherwise, with the plan that and the bad map that we've seen, we might disappear and dissolve, God forbid. And that's why we're here. And we really thank everyone for watching, and thank you, Tommy and Nate and all of Hayovel, for not only helping all our farmers in all of Judea and Samaria settle and grow grapes and grow different fruit and vegetable, but also for your back as an evangelical vote for the Republicans and for Trump and all the great stuff that have been done. And as I've said before, Trump has done a lot of good. He's moved the American embassy to Jerusalem. He's talked also about the Golan Heights and about the sovereignty in the Golan Heights and recognize the sovereignty. But now we need the last push. The hardest part is to get a good map that includes all the Jewish communities and way more in order to allow us to settle the land as we were told by God to do, and as we all believe that needs to be done.
Nate or Tommy, I have a question. How many millions of evangelicals are there in America? Approximately. What would you say? I've heard like 70 million, 80 million. Is that true?
Today I heard 90.
Yeah, I would say probably people that would say that they are evangelicals, probably around 70 to 80 million. But
if each one of those 70 or 80 million people, and we're calling out to you, were to actually send a tweet or actually pick up the phone or actually send a Facebook or whatever it is right now, you could help change history. You could help the entire Holy Land of Israel, the settlers, the holy settlers that are living here in Judea and Samaria. You could really change the map. And that's what we're calling on, and that's what we're hoping for. And just go ahead and do it already.
Yeah, I'm looking at Jeremiah, the prophet Jeremiah, and he's in chapter 33. He's sitting in a prison, and he's giving this amazing, writing this letter, or God speaking to him from this prison, and he has this hope that one day that Israel is going to be restored. There's going to be the voice of the bride and the voice of the bridegroom. There's going to be the covenant that God made with David is going to be sure. Israel is going to exist.
We're seeing it ourselves. We're seeing it today in our very eyes. We're seeing the prophecies come true. Prophets who prophesied thousands of years ago that the Jewish nation would return to their land and built up in such a short time, 72, 73 years, one of the strongest armies in the world, a flourishing economy, helping nations all over the world in medical and technology and really, this is prophecy coming true, being a light unto the nations. I see. Oh, what happened there? Nate just cut out. And now we can see the beautiful young face of Fang.
All right. Well, we're gonna go in this thing, and just say that for those of you that are watching, that are hanging in here, I personally believe that there's no greater thing happening in the earth right now. That when God, the creator of all the universe, actually gathered the 12 tribes of Israel, half on one side on Mount Gerizim and half on the other side, the Mount Ebal, the Mount of Blessing and the Mount of Cursing. And he made a covenant between those two mountains. There was a covenant by the Jewish people, the people of Israel. They made a covenant right there, right where you guys are, right where you're standing right now, where you're living, where you're laying your head, about to lay your heads down. There was a covenant made there between a people and a land. And I want our Christian, brothers and sisters out there to understand what we're talking about is God's word. And what these two men right here are doing is fulfilling the covenants that were made over and over. God spoke these covenants to the people of Israel, and he spoke it there in this particular place when they actually did the Isaiah 62 reality. They married the land. They took the ketubah, the marriage contract from Mount Sinai, and they read it right there, and they did a marriage ceremony right there between those two mountains. And I want to say that it is amazing to me to be living in a generation, to be living in a moment, in a time where I know people. I have dear brothers, dear friends that families that are making believe in the promises of God to the point of walking it out. And for me, it's a very heartfelt appreciation for both of you and all the families in HarBracha and Itamar and Itzar, Lomaray and Tapuak and all those communities that are right there, who can see the place where the covenant was made. And
we appreciate all you've done, Tommy, and your entire family, and Hayovel. And my prayer and my hope is that once we find a vaccine for the coronavirus and it's all over, that all of you come to the Holy Land, come visit us here in HarBracha, see the beauty of the land of Israel, see how God has blessed us. Mm-hmm. Just come and visit and see for yourself, and just to breathe the air here. Our wise and holy sages said, just breathing the air of Israel makes a person wise. It's just a tremendous thing that's happening here. And please come and visit. And right now, just get on the phone, get on your keyboard here, and we'll send that message out. And God willing, we're going to continue doing our best to hold on to the land of Israel and to continue building and continue growing. And we thank you for your support and your prayers. And what else can we say?
Amen. Chaim, you got any last words? I think Yonatan's battery's wearing out again on his. Your video is not doing good. We always have this complaint with you and your internet. Chaim, you got to help him.
You see, there are only 2 hours left till the sovereignty, so his internet line's going through the Palestinian state.
Yeah, oh my, that's terrible. Another reason we got.
Wait and watch.
Yeah,
and
right.
I really want to thank you guys. I see Nate's cell phone battery died, so he fell out. But really thank you, Tommy, and also Nate, of course, and all of Hayovel for all your great help, and to all the communities and the farmers in Judea and Samaria. But we really appreciate all your help, also abroad in the U.S. And you're stuck there for right now, but I think there might be a good reason for you to be right there in the States. because we need you there. We need your help, and we need all the evangelicals to do anything they can in these days, these hours. They're less than 2 hours left here in Israel until the 1st of July to push President Donald Trump
But don't think after these 2 hours are over that your job is over, because we're continuing on, and you can continue on, and you have to continue on. Supporting Israel, supporting the settlers, supporting Judea and Samaria.
No question.
Buy products from Judea and Samaria. Whatever you can do to help build and help settle the land of Israel. Support the state of Israel.
And we're waiting to see all the volunteers and the full Waller family join us here in HarBracha. Thank God.
This season, we're not waiting for next season, Tommy. We're talking about this season right now.
You remember all the rain that we had this year. Now we have all the grapes to pick.
That's right. That's right.
Listen, I've changed my ticket 3 times already. So we need you guys to, write letters.
I signed the paperwork, Tommy. No excuses.
We're gonna go. We're gonna just come. I'm gonna mention your name at the airport.
You go. You got it.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Well, they recognize me now as a settler, so I get a lot of problems coming in.
Now you're in real trouble.
Hey, I appreciate you guys more than you know, and what a blessing to be part of this conversation. Let's have some good news next week. Let's try to come back on.
Amen.
Give another report next week. I think we should keep everybody informed and what's happening. They need to hear from inside the place where this is all taking place, and those that are going to be affected by it. We need to know how to stand with you guys. So we let's make plans to get back together next week. After I know you guys are planning a big 4th of July in Israel. In America, all Americans think that everybody celebrates all the holidays that we celebrate.
I think the ambassador does hold the July 4th shindig.
Yeah. I'm wondering about that. But so let's stay in touch, and we'll be praying. All those that are listening to this will be praying for Israel, as we're commanded to do, the mandate to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and to pray for, really full sovereignty over the land of Israel.
But
may it be in our day.
Prayer is not enough. Just like God told Moses at one point, Moses was praying, and God said, "What are you praying for me? Now is the time to move on. Now is the time to take action. Now is the time to take action." We love the prayers, and the prayers help, and they're great. Continue praying, but take action.
Right. Now you sounded like a Baptist preacher now again. Right. He's giving that hardcore. He's fighting. We're hearing the fight now. Let's do it. We got to make this happen. We got to walk this out like we believe in God's word, like we believe in the
God willing, everything. Like Time said, God willing, everything will be for the best. Everything will work out for the best. No matter what, the Jewish nation is continuing on our thousands of years path, and we're getting closer and closer to the day when, God willing, the 3rd temple will be built in Jerusalem, and everybody will come to pray, and everybody will come to see the beauty of the land of Israel and the God of Israel and the people of Israel.
Amen. All right, you guys, Lala Tov. We'll see.
All right.
Okay, bye.
Shalom.
Bye-bye.